Alright, 5.8b is all about graphing, again, absolute value functions. It's the second section because yesterday we learned how to apply our experience of graphing lines to absolute value graphs. We learned how to take this graph here, focus on the 4, which meant to move 4 up, and we learned that the base of the graph is by moving 1 over 1 up, 1 back, 1 up, and drawing the V off of that. We also learned how to look at this, which is minus 3, which tells us to go down 3. And because it's an absolute value graph, it has a V shape, and so therefore we have that V there. Today what we're going to do is look at what happens when the value is moved inside the bars, because notice that this value is on the outside. Follow my presentation for a moment as we just kind of talk about this. So again, just watch for a moment and think, because if you don't think, it's not going to help you. In this calculator right now, which is a graphing calculator, ABS is the computer's way of putting absolute value because they don't have bars, but this is the absolute value of X, and if I hit the graph button, you should see that that is your absolute value graph. Again, it's the V shape. It's starting at the center. So if we go back and we do what we learned yesterday, which is if we put X plus 5 on the outside, we should understand that with this 5 being on the outside, that means it's going to move 5 up. So when we hit the graph button, notice how it's up higher. Your V has moved up. If we go back there and we turn that plus 5, let's say a minus 3, as we know, and again, if you're actively thinking right now, this minus 3 should move me down 3, which you can see it is. It's below the line, and you still have the V shape. The question is, and this is where I want you to think, what happens when I move the sign here? So the plus 5 on the outside moved it 5 up. But what does plus 5 on the inside do is the question you got to think about. So if this moves it up and down, that means this is probably going to move it left and right. But the trick to doing this is hopefully you're thinking right now that you probably are thinking this is going to move it 5 right. So let's see what happens if we put a plus 5 on the inside. And what we should notice is that it did not move 5 right, it actually moved 5 left, which is the opposite of what we would expect. Let's move it to minus 3. Again, minus 3 the way we usually think, because it's negative and the negatives are on that side. Minus 3 makes us think that it's going to go 3 left. But let's look and see if this actually goes to the left. And notice that it actually moved to the right. So what we should be thinking about here, and I'm going to let you try to see this for yourself the next couple. If I do plus 2, based off of what we thought before, plus 2 made us think it was going right, but we were wrong, which means this is probably going to go to the left. Let's see. Which it does. There you go. And then if I went back and turned it into minus 4, again, minus 4 based off of what we thought before would have been left because it's negative 4, but again, we were wrong on the inside number, so we have to think opposite, which means we think that this should be going hopefully to the right, which it is doing. Alright, so what we do learn is that the value on the inside must be switched in order to be used appropriately, and again, that's really what it's about. So part of your Math Excel questions are going to ask you these questions here to start, and you want to make sure you think about it. When you see this, it's going to say what value is inside, and the value that's inside this is 6. But as we know, we don't use it as a 6. We should view it as its opposite, which is negative 6, and negative 6, because it's on the inside, is going to move left. And that's what you want to understand. Again, it's going to be moved left 6 because it's inside, not outside. If this 6 was outside, that would be up and down. This is the inside, which means it's left and right. And again, it's going to move left. B, what value is on the inside on this? Again, when you see that question, you're just putting negative 4s on the inside. But again, because it's on the inside and it goes against what we think, we're actually going to view it as a regular 4. And because it's a regular 4, and we're on the inside, which is left and right, a positive 4 makes us go to the right. Alright, so again, that question is going to be on your work today, so just try to do your best to think about that. So when we go to graph this, here's what I would do if I were you. I would first off underline the inside number, and I would rewrite it as the number that I see. This is not division. This is me pretty much saying I want to view this as a negative 2, because the inside number goes the opposite of what we're used to. Once I recognize this is a negative 2, it means it goes 2 to the left, not 2 to the right. And then I do the same thing I did yesterday. Over 1, up 1, back 1, up 1, and draw your V. That's all. You just have to make sure you study today to get used to switching that number. So looking at graph B, x minus 5, again it's a negative 5, so I want to view it as a positive 5, and because it's on the inside, that is a left-right number. Positive 5 would be 5 to the right. And again, over 1, up 1, back 1, up 1, and draw your V shape from there. That is all today is about. The hard part about today is that now you've got to mix that in with the stuff we did. So when you look at C, this 3 is actually on the outside, and remember that the outside 3 is what we're used to with graphing lines, and this is actually telling us to go 3 up, not 3 left or right, because that's an outside number, which again means I go up and then I go over 1, up 1, back 1, up 1, and create my V. Again, on this one, the 3 is on the inside, so remember when it's on the inside, I got to use the opposite. This is a negative 3. I want to view it as a positive 3, which means it's going to go 3 to the right. Over 1, up 1, back 1, up 1. Finish your V. Sorry, that's a bad V. And then E, again, just making sure you stay honest. This 1 is on the outside, so it's telling us to go down, and then from there, over 1, up 1, back 1, up 1, going that way and going that way. I tried a little better to make sure that was clean. So again, take your time on this. Today you're going to first off work on your Math Excel, then we're going to do a Kahoot to work on it a little bit and give you some time to kind of guess and check and talk about what's going on. Today's only job is that you learn how to shift inside numbers, and then also putting it all together on that game we're going to play and just kind of talk about. So nothing on paper today, so do the Math Excel, ask questions if you get stuck on something, if you don't understand what's going on, and then from there, as I said, we'll go to the Kahoot, we'll work on some things and try to help you figure out how to make the proper guess, because this honestly is just about instinct. You want to be able to see it and just know what's going on. So again, go ahead and go to your Math Excel and let's see what happens. Good luck.